Hello and welcome to episode 5, part 1 of MMM Sister Stories podcast. Today, Sister Ruth Percival brings us on her journey as an MMM sister with some funny moments along the way. Enjoy and thank you for listening.
Yes, I'm Ruth Percival. And I made my first vows in 1970, a long time ago. I came straight from school. And after profession, my first job was the guest department. We'd have expected to have started training, but there were jobs to do, so we did them. And at that time, of course, Mother Mary was alive, and she sometimes had good days. So I met a lot of people who would come to see her. Also, at that time, we weren't going home at all. So on Saturdays and Sundays, we'd be really, really busy. We'd literally have stacks of trays and could expect 100 visitors for afternoon tea. So it was, it was a good experience, meeting a lot of friends of MMM and families. So then I joined 4 other MMMs and did my training, general nurse training over in the hospital, and found actually that I was a lot better at it than I'd been at things at school, which surprised me. I did really well and enjoyed it, but, you were always a bit scared of what you were going to see next because you didn't have the experience. Anyway, so when I'd finished my training, I got a flu. And when I was over the flu, I was sent to the nunciature. Now, that's where the apostolic nuncio lives. He used to live in Phoenix Park in my day. And the nuncio is, as you know, the dean of the diplomatic corps. So my job was to open the door to all the ambassadors, because when they'd been to the president to present their credentials, they would come straight over to him to present their credentials to him. So it was, on the dot, as the clock struck 11, the car would roll up at the front door, I would go out and then have the coffee ready. So that again was a very interesting experience. So then after that, I was able to go and do midwifery. And again, I did it over there where it is now. And I really enjoyed it and, made some good friends there. And after that, I was assigned to Tanzania, to Makiungu, which is a training hospital for midwives, and a school for pre-nurses. Now, pre-nurses were girls who'd finished primary school, and you could there'd be 12 places, maybe 15, and you'd have hundreds of applications for those places. So when the girls had come, of course, they really understood that they were very lucky to get in. Now, as far as I was concerned, I was a bit unlucky because I was asked to teach them. Now, what language does one use when the girls speak Swahili only and you speak English only? So you very quickly pick up the language and you pick up things, and it was good. The girls were marvellous. I still say, give me any of those girls now who are, staff nurses. They were wonderful. Very, very good. So after, so in Makiungo, I got a lot of experience because I was, taught mother and child health, and learned how to use a stethoscope, and it was a very poor area and we had hunger. And I'll never forget one of my first first antenatal clinics, this woman came in and she was short of height, and she was grey, and she was just more baby than her. And I happened to say, she was lying on the bed, and I said, "What did you eat this morning?" And she said, "I didn't." Now, she'd walked 8 miles to come to the clinic. I said, "What about yesterday?" "I didn't." And with that, this little tear came out of her eye here. That finished me. I was gone. I shot out of the room. I couldn't take it. And apparently, because I was new, the nurses said, "Oh, see that?" But so we took that whole family into the hospital, into the hospital surroundings, so that they would have food and she would kind of be helped along in her pregnancy. So that was a place of sand and rocks, and that's where I heard one of the sisters say, when we were going on an emergency maternity call in the Land Rover, "It's all right, I'm coming." And then, "It's all right, I'm here. I thought, oh, will I ever know the day that I can say to a woman, "It's all right, I'm here." It just seemed in the middle of nowhere to be able to say that to somebody. Anyway, she was fine, and she had her baby safely, and we rejoiced. But there were so many instances, obviously, like that, and just getting used to the place, and knowing you could go out in the morning and you didn't need your raincoat. Couldn't get used to it at all. Anyway, from there, I went, we got an opportunity, we got the option of, we were closing up, we were moving out of a hospital in the south, Namanyeri, and those of us who were kind of freed up by that, in one way or another, were given the option of doing primary health care. So I jumped at it. And we had been invited down to South Maasai Land. This is in Tanzania, south. And we'd been invited down to train a Maasai health team. Oh, heaven on earth. It was wonderful. Our driver, Eliaona from Makiungu, drove me down with a few others in the car. And as we progressed, we'd started off around 6 a.m, and it was getting rather late, getting near to 6 o'clock in the evening, and it was getting dark. Eliona just stopped. He said, "Sister, I am not taking you any further. We're taking you home." He said, "Can't leave you here." And it was just thick thorn bush. There was nothing to see, no houses, no nothing, thick thorn bush. So anyway, we persuaded him to go on at least another mile or two because we were very close. So anyway, eventually we followed the handmade signs that the sisters had put up, and we arrived at our prefab house, which had just been built in 4 weeks in the middle of the thorn bush. And I had this kind of philosophical kind of feeling about this place, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be living on the Maasai steppe, it's going to be fantastic. I'm going to be able to sit at my desk, and I'll be able to pray out there, and I'll be able to walk up and down praying, and it'll be, anyway. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing place. And this is where, to answer one of those questions, it's where I think I made certainly a very big impact. there were three of us from Lelia, who was an older person from Ireland, and Joan from America, and myself in this little house. And one of the first mornings that Lelia was there, I came after. We came in kind of down in turns, but anyway, she was in her room, which didn't have any curtains at that stage, but I mean, you don't need curtains when you live in the thorn bush. So she was at her mirror and she was fixing her veil, and she went, and right behind her was this man, this man's head. He was a warrior, and he was looking in at her, so he was only inches away from her. And so anyway, that's what the Maasai were like. They came to find out, what is this thing that's dropped out of the sky into this gap? And who are these people? Who are these people? They got our names straight away. Then whoever went wherever, they told everybody about our names and described us so that when they came, they would know which one was which. Don't ask me how they described us or me. But anyway, from the first morning that we were all there, the leader of the village used to come every single morning about 8 o'clock. How were we? Had we slept well? Had we had any problems? Did we need anything? And oftentimes to invite us to a celebration or other, a meat-eating celebration. It was a great place, I'm telling you. But anyway, they were a remarkable people. They have no word for secret in their language. Why would I have a secret? I mean, we're living together. You can't have a secret when you're living together. So anyway, marvellous. And very, very quickly we became at home there. And Geneviève, who happened to be there at the time, one beautiful Sunday morning, she said, I wonder why we've had no maternity calls. Says Lily and I, oh, come on, Geneviève, not on a Sunday morning. Well, you wouldn't believe it. Within half an hour, we had one. Within half an hour. So Geneviève said, you'll drive faster. So anyway, the man who came to call us didn't have Swahili, so it was kind of a lot of sign, So that was all right. So we drove, and then he told us to stop, and then we got out and walked down this little path through the thorn bush until we came to a clearing. And there, tied to a tree with a big, strong leather strap, was a cow. It wasn't a woman at all. Well, they had a week of meetings to go at him, to tell him off, that we've come here to help them, and he's making fun of them, making fun of us by calling us his cow. Every day they met, and every day he was going to have to pay 2 cows, then it was 1 cow. I think he didn't pay anything in the end, but he really suffered over us. They were just marvellous, that was just something that was new, and we were new and they were new, and I've so many stories about Maasai Island, but no, and they were extremely quick on picking things up, like when we were setting up the clinic, extremely quick. And would you need something for that? And would you need something for that? You won't get it here. There was it was marvellous. So eventually, well, not eventually, we taught them the basic vaccinations, and eventually they were giving out medicines for us. They were simple medicines, but they were giving out for them. And of course, we were under the district that was under the region, that was under Dar es Salaam. So we might have visitors sometimes. And one of our men obviously hadn't had any education prior to this. I mean, his father hadn't let him go to school, but he was excellent. So they came up and they tested him. And boy, did they test him. What about this? What about this? What dose for this? Where do you give that? They said, can't find a fault in him. We said, no, there isn't one, in that sense. Anyway, Mas Island was wonderful. When we actually arrived, the people were delighted because there'd been a start of a measles epidemic, and none of them in that area had had any vaccinations at all. That's why we'd been asked to go there, basically. And so this man came and he said, sisters, please come to my village because the measles is in the next village over there. Please don't let it come to our village. Please come and vaccinate, which we did. And we said, well, how are we going to get there? They said, well, you can drive there. We said, is there a road? Oh, no. No road, no. But anyway, eventually they learned that to at least chop these bushes down to a level that we could, not puncture the car by driving over them. So that's how we started with the vaccination programme. And thank God that, that we did go at that time. And one of our priests said to us after a couple of years, he says, what are you going on the clinic for? We've not had measles here for ages. Why are you going out vaccinating? And we said, we'll let him answer his own question. He failed to realise that's why, But, oh no, it was something. And when we'd go out in the evening, at night time, open the back door, we'd hear the lions, and we'd see lions, and when we were 10 hours on a good day from the post office and the shops. So that was every 4 to 6 weeks for our mail. And when we'd be going to the post office, we'd see giraffe, and we'd see zebra, and we'd occasionally see something a bit more, a bit more unusual. So also at that time, my impact there was because I love teaching, I love passing on knowledge, and I love teamwork. So I used to do a group work on a Wednesday morning. Including in that group was our doctor, if you like. He's not a complete doctor, but for that situation, that's what he was. And then these others who had just done the vaccinations and done other things. And one man who couldn't read or write, but recognised every TB patient in the area and would bring them in. And we'd have classes together, that group. Of course, I'd say, Vincent, could you just share with us about such and such? And then people would ask, that sort of way. But I know I made it was a big impact. And then the church, it was at that stage, it was first generation Catholic. So when we arrived, we still used the Maasai prayer book. So the form would be, praise you, God, amen. We praise you for today, amen. We praise you all, and then coming into the Eucharistic prayer. So it was very interesting. But then by then the fellows were travelling all around, and they said that they they wanted to use what everybody else was using because they felt out of it when they went away.
Thank you for listening to MMM Sister Stories. Tune in next week for part 2.